I'm Leslie, and I am a life coach slash polyamory mentor, educator, based here in Brisbane, Australia. I'm originally from Pennsylvania, and in this video I had another great chat with my dear friend Asabi Goodman about our experiences in the dating world in Australia as African American women who have been living here each for more than 10 years. So stick around!
How you doing?
Hello, Leslie. I'm good. How are you?
I'm great. Talking to the famous Asabi Goodman.
Oh gosh, not yet. Almost. I'm almost famous.
Almost famous. Did you or did you not get a selfie request from Tom Hanks?
I mean, yeah.
You're famous.
I did. Yeah.
Okay, anyway. So what have you been doing? How you been taking care of yourself these days?
Oh my gosh. I've been working a lot, sleeping a lot. I recently was nominated for a prestigious theater award. I didn't win the award, but considering they saw over 100 shows between 2020 and 2021, and I was one of the 6 people that got shortlisted for this award, I thought that was pretty cool. It's, my name is out there. It's on everybody's mouth now. I went to the award ceremony just recently, and it was really kind of glamorous, like everyone.
I saw pictures.
Yeah, and everyone who is anyone in the Queensland, anyway, Southeast Queensland theater industry was there, and it was just really nice to be there and to be recognized for my work, because I gave up this lucrative, I use that word loosely, lucrative career in chemical engineering to become a full-time performer, and so my efforts are starting to pay off. So it's really good.
It's so great when you get that evidence that this massive leap you've taken. Yeah, when you get a lot of positive reinforcement in such an official way for it, it's like,
yeah,
well, congratulations.
Thank you.
So my last question about this award thing,
yes,
being nominated and everything, felt wonderful. It was a glamorous night. Did it get you laid?
No. Oh my God, I am like a nun. I've been celibate for about 1.5 years, I guess.
Okay.
I go through phases in my life where I'm just like, nah, it's fine. I'm not.
So you're not dating much these days, then?
Oh, I'm not dating at all. I don't really want to. I think I'm just living my life and enjoying my life, and that is not a big part of my life at the moment. Like I've never been one to be partnered. I've probably only had 5 boyfriends in my life since I was 18, I guess. Like I didn't date in high school. I had a kindergarten boyfriend, but everybody has a kindergarten boyfriend.
Oh,
yeah. We were in school together through 2nd grade, and then I switched school districts, so I left. And we still would chat on the phone, but we were like 8. It sounds so adult, but like we would have these phone conversations, and he was like, well, you've left school now, so I'm gonna find a new girlfriend. And I was like, okay. And it was fine. And then I didn't have another boyfriend again until I was 19. So that was the first boyfriend that I had, was at 19. I might have been 20.
Was this back in Oklahoma?
No. I had left Oklahoma. No. My first proper boyfriend, I was 19, and he was from India, and he was gorgeous. Oh my God, he was just beautiful. He had this like honey-colored skin and these big curly cues of hair that would fall into his face. But he always wore his hair slicked back. So he was a teaching assistant in the chemical engineering department. So this was at USC. But yeah, and then I've just kind of dated sporadically since then. So in the last 25 or so years, I've only ever had one truly serious boyfriend, and was recently, about 2 years ago. And I dated
Okay, so
him
that
for a
was
little
here
over
in
a year.
Australia.
I was here in Australia, and we actually lived together. And
Right.
I believed that he was going to be the end. That was it. That this was the man I was going to spend the rest of my life with, and that obviously didn't happen.
Mm,
So, yeah.
yeah. It's like when I came to Australia, it was because of a guy, my ex. I was still kind of getting to know him. So when I came here, I thought I was going to be here for a year and then move on to some other country. But then, long story short, we were together for 3.5 years. Most of that time, I was just miserable, being badly emotionally abused and all that stuff, which we talked about in our previous video. But I remember thinking, like, I had never dated anyone in Australia because I arrived and I kind of had a relationship waiting for me. And I wasn't sure that it was going to be, well, I was pretty sure it wasn't going to be a forever thing, but it was a strange relationship. So what even before this guy you were with and then after this guy you were with, what has your experience of dating in Australia been like?
Oh, well, in a nutshell, kind of shitty. I did a couple of dating apps early on. I can't remember what they were. And one of the things that I found, especially, well, it was all Australian men, like white Australian men, and they were all timid. That was at least all the ones that were willing to go out with me. I don't know, like they seemed difficult to talk to. Like I went out with one guy, and he was an older guy. He had kids, and I remember we went to this restaurant and I could barely get him to talk, And so there were games, like it was a restaurant in West End, so it's kind of trendy and a little off kilter. And so I grabbed a game and we started playing a game, and that seemed to, relax him a little bit. But still, it was me trying to pull information out of him, asking questions. And so at the end of the day, I just assumed that he wasn't into me because, he just wasn't talking. So at the end of the day, I said, thanks, see you later. And then the next week, he messaged me like an email. He sent me an email. And so I just said, oh, look, it was lovely meeting you. However, I just don't think this is going to work. And then he got mad. And he was like, well, I'm just not going to send you any poetry or blah, 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 And I was like, whoa, this is the most communication I've had out of you. Like, holy shit, where was all of this on our date, And
so was the no poetry thing like a threat?
Or... I don't know. And I'm not a huge fan of poetry anyway. So I was like, okay, thank you. Like, thank you for sparing me your awful poetry. I don't know. And, he did, like, he would send me text messages every now and again, like, hey, what's up? And I'm like, why the fuck is this guy messaging me? Sorry, I don't know if I can say that, but yeah. So it was kind of random. I went out with a flight attendant, and it was almost like going out with a chatty woman. Like I couldn't converse with him. So he was the exact opposite, where it was just like, blah, 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 blah. Okay, thanks, I had a great time, see you later. And I was like,
And, oh my gosh.
Yeah, and so of course there was no second date. I went out with a guy. Oh my God. Went to one of my favorite restaurants, this Italian restaurant in the city. And this guy, he was so eccentric. Like, I wasn't sure if he was real or not, or like if he was trying to put on an act, but
like practicing a character or something.
Yeah, it was just so surreal and odd. Like, he started singing at the table, like at the top of his voice. And, like he was telling me this story, and he was like, yeah, I wrote this song for a friend. And so, I thought like when like you sing a phrase, right? And so I was about to say, "Oh, that's nice." And he puts his hand up, like, "No, no, no, I'm not done." And then kept singing, and I'm just like, "Wow." And then like it just like became more bizarre, and and I'm like, "What the fuck is this?" So needless to say, I didn't see that guy again. Like I don't know, he just went off on some weird tangent. I did date a guy seriously, but he was a poet. God.
You're attracting like singers and poets and stuff. What
Yeah,
I mean, like I like good poetry, but what is going on?
yeah, I don't know. And I actually liked this guy. I did like this guy, but he turned out to be verbally abusive, and he had his own demons. Like I really did like him, but he started going down this route of trying to tell me that my friends weren't really my friends and that they didn't like me. So
Yeah.
kind of so like he like to bring me down a peg, and I I just kind of, and he was hot and cold. Sometimes he would be very loving, and then sometimes he would yell at me in public. He was abusive. He was quite abusive. So I into that because I was like, nah, I'm not. I don't even understand what's going on here. I'm not gonna be involved with this. And let's see, I've slept with a lot of people, but that's a whole nother story. Like that, not no relationships.
Yeah. Okay.
I went through a period of like one night stands because I could, and I was very upfront with them, and I'd tell them this is a one time thing. Don't contact me again. Like it's not going to happen again. It's a one time thing. But of course, text messages wanting to hook up again, and I would just ignore it, because I'm like,
So hang on. So when you're saying to these guys like this is just a one time thing, this isn't gonna happen again, like never contact me again, da da da. Like what was
yeah.
their response to that initially?
They said okay,
Okay.
yeah. I didn't think it was, and honestly, God, this is gonna no slut shaming world. Um, I was actually on an app that was specifically for hooking up. So it wasn't Tinder. This was pre-Tinder. And you would just find people that you just wanted to sleep with. And I was very specific with them, and I would tell them, I'm not looking for a relationship. I'm not looking for anything else. I'm just looking for sex. That's it. That's all I want. And I think a lot of people find just like I never did this in the US, like I was too busy doing other things. I think there's this sort of old fashioned mindset here that when I tell them I don't want a relationship, I don't want anything else, they don't believe me. They're like, oh, but women aren't like that. Women don't behave that way. So you can't be, and I'm like, no, no, no. I don't want to see you again. Don't contact me. Or I would have men get mad at me if I rejected them. And I'm like, so I'm not a prostitute. I'm going to say no if I want to say no. Like, I'm not taking money. I don't need anything. Don't get mad at me if I say no, I don't want to sleep with you. Like, cause, I would have a chat with them to make sure they're not going to annoy me because, you don't want to sleep with somebody that's going to be annoying. And
no.
If I found them annoying, then I would say, oh, listen, it's not going to work out. And I would have guys get like really irate and mad, and I'm like, Jesus, I'm glad I didn't like meet you in person because that's not gonna happen.
That's creepy.
It's very weird, in Australia. I've only had 2 boyfriends. So I had the abusive one, and I think he lives in Adelaide now, actually. And then the last one, who, God help him. I was so in love with this guy. And, he wasn't smart. He was cute to me. I thought he was gorgeous. I was, like, everything. But he had his own issues. He had his own demons, I guess, that he was battling with. And he wasn't ready to deal with him. And towards the end of what became the end of our relationship, he would lash out violently, well, just like verbal violence,
Mm.
And I knew that he wasn't happy with his job. He may not have been happy with his life, but he wouldn't really share that with me.
Mm.
And so I was like, yeah, we're gonna end this. And he even said to me that he never wanted to see me again. So I was like, okay, that's fine, fair enough, if that's how you feel. I don't get hurt easily, like I was sad. I was definitely sad, but I wasn't hurt. And he still sends me text messages every now and again, and I just ignore them because I'm like, look, I don't have time. I don't have time to go and meet up. Like, I'm not gonna drive out to where you are to meet up with you. That's not gonna happen. No.
Yeah. You've
So
left
I'm
so many
single,
damaged hearts in your wake.
right? I guess I don't know, but I'm enjoying my single life. Like, I do have an idea of what I want and who I want. I think,
Yeah.
I know how I want to be treated, and and that last relationship taught me a lot. It taught me about my ability to love someone, to provide unconditional love, to be supportive, um, all the things that I'd never really done before.
Yeah.
And I learned that I am capable of doing those things. I am capable of, being someone's ride or die, as they say. But
Yeah.
it has to be the right, like, I need that reciprocated. And I wasn't
Yeah.
getting that. Yeah, I wasn't getting that at all. Like, I started to feel alone in my relationship. I never cheated, but I did have an opportunity, but I'm not that person. When I'm with someone, I'm with someone. And being a performer, of course, you always get opportunities to be with people, but I'm very loyal. I'm very steadfast, and I wouldn't do that to them because I wouldn't want someone to do that to me.
Yeah.
I was accused of it. Because of my flamboyant past, if you will. Which I don't think, I mean, I don't think anything of it. Like, that was just my life. That was how I chose to live. I don't think it's anybody's business. But when you have a partner that is upset with your past, and I would always, like, he would bring it up often. He had this, I guess it was a jealousy. I never really explored it with him, but whenever he would come with me to a gig, he would say to me, if you're going to introduce me to someone you've slept with, you need to tell me first.
See,
and I was like
why is the question?
I know, I'm like, and I told him, I said, listen, there's only one person that you will ever meet that I have slept with, because it's someone that I still work with, and someone in the music industry. And I was like, that's the only person, because everyone else, like, they were one night stands. They were, a long time ago. My ex-boyfriend doesn't even live in this town, and my other boyfriends are all in the US, so you'll never meet anyone ever. You will never, except one person. And then he just proceeded to have, like, animosity towards that person. And I'm like, dude, this guy has done nothing to you. Leave him alone. Like, I have to work with this guy. Don't be that way, But he would accuse me of being in love with him, and I'm like, I was never in love with him. Like, he was just a friend that I just happened to know intimately. That's, and it was like, we didn't date or anything. We just hooked up a few times. It's nothing. But I think he believed that if you slept with someone, it meant you loved them. And I'm like, no, that's not. Maybe in 1850, but definitely not today. Even in 1850, I don't even think that.
Yeah, I remember, like, with my ex, he would get really jealous at times and accuse me of things based on parkour.
What?
Like, I was I was
That's
hanging out with,
sexual, man. Parkour.
Well, the thing is, it's like I was hanging out with all these guys, and it's like some of them walk around with their shirts off and da 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 da. But it was like, you know, I would go away to these gatherings in different states, and I would get questions about that, just questions. You know, it's kind of ironic that in the end, I ended up leaving him for the guy who was the president of the Australian Parkour Association at the time.
Whoa.
But it's not even like well, you know, he pushed me in that direction, because it's like, you know, like when I met Tony, my husband, who is now in COVID quarantine in a different room, like it was just there was a connection there that was just impossible to deny, and that's what gave me that final push to finally end that other terrible relationship. But one other thing that was really awful about that other relationship was, like, this guy, he was very Aussie. His worldview was very small, which also meant that his understandings about things like racial differences were extremely underdeveloped. And oh my gosh, it's like, and then, you know, he's a white guy. It can be challenging enough trying to relate your experiences as an African American person, and as a woman, to add to that, to a white Australian man who doesn't have that perspective and is really resistant to understanding that perspective. But then, like, to be in a relationship with someone like that, it was like death by 1,000 cuts at times. Yeah. Oh my God.
Yeah, it is. Yeah. I don't even know where to start. Like, just the level of misunderstanding of the world is huge, you know? And sometimes he would say things like he would make racist comments, not about me, but just in general, you know, and he didn't think there was anything wrong with it, you know, and I'm just like, wow, okay. What is this, you know, who am I with? And it took some time for me to see that side of him, you know, like he believed an entire ethnic group should be killed. And I was like, no.
Oh my God.
Yeah, right? and you know, he would talk about, like, he was anti-Muslim. That was, and I would ask him, I'm like, do you know any Muslim people? Well, of course not, you know. And I'm like, so then why would you, you know, I'm like, I have Muslim friends. I have a lot of Muslim friends. Please don't make these sort of comments, you know, because that's just, you can't say that all Muslims are bad. And he would try to give me examples, you know, of why they're all bad. And I was like, whoa, no.
It's like, don't even. We're not playing those games.
Yeah, nope. I cannot get on board with that. You need to stop, you know. It's just little things like that, you know, just not being worldly.
Little things.
Not being, yeah, it was pretty big. Not being tolerant. I remember on our first date, I was really, like, we really connected. And I thought, oh, this guy is great. And he made this comment about not believing in friendship. And of course, that was a red flag for me, because being a woman outside of her own culture, you know, and living in a foreign country, I don't have any family around me. And friendship is very important. You know, my friends are my family. Like, I almost didn't even understand what he was saying, but he believed that, you know, people can't really be friends because people are not genuine, I guess. I never truly
That's so
understood.
strange.
It was very strange. And, you know, he didn't have a lot of friends. He had
Mm.
one friend-ish, but it was someone that he worked with. And when they had an argument, you know, it was easy for him to just be like, no, I'm not talking to him anymore. I don't know. It was, and I didn't,
Mm.
I let it go, even though, like, it was a huge red flag, but I let it go because I just kind of said to myself, oh, he doesn't know what he's talking about.
Mm.
That can't be true. He has friends. He has to have friends.
Mm.
He didn't
Yeah.
really have
Yeah. One of the worst moments for me in terms of like red flags when I was like deep in the pit of this emotionally abusive relationship was I was digging around my ex's computer because not sneakily or anything. I spent a lot of time on his computer, especially during my visa application process,
friends.
looking for pictures of us that showed that we were in a relationship and showed us like with his family and all these other things. I was basically like fighting to prove that I was in this relationship that like in my heart I kind of felt like I didn't want to be in at that time. Later it became much clearer that I just did not want to be with this guy. But remember once when I was looking through some of his folders, I found this folder that was full of memes, but like some of them were really racist. Like memes that would very like openly feature the N-word and stuff. Yeah. And I was like, why does he have these things on his computer? Like, this is messed up.
Mm, mm,
And like, to this day, like, I never even asked him about it because I was just like, you know what, this tells me more than enough about what I need to know about what this guy thinks is like even mildly funny. And it's incredibly, incredibly insensitive, incredibly inappropriate. And when I say like a bunch of memes, I mean like a lot of memes. And like we'd always had really challenging conversations anytime the topic of race came up.
mm-hmm.
He was constantly like racially gaslighting me. We had this very distressing conversation once when we were on holiday about gollywog dolls.
Oh, God.
And it was like it was like bashing my head against the brick wall, trying to explain to this guy why gollywogs weren't just some cute thing or something
Mm-hmm,
to just like get over. And it's like,
mm-hmm.
dude, these are racist caricatures. I want nothing to do with these things. The fact that like, and I know that a lot of Australians do see what's wrong with them, but there are way too many that don't.
Yeah.
It's very illustrative of how backward the thinking is here in relation to like what's considered appropriate in terms of
Mm,
race.
yeah. Yeah, definitely.
Mm.
Definitely.
And
Yeah.
I don't speak to my ex at all. After the breakup, after I moved out and stuff, it was pretty much just no contact after that. And the only thing that I kind of regret about that situation was I never really got to say goodbye to his family. But that was something that I had to do, mainly
Mm,
because it was an emotionally abusive relationship. And it's like, how am I supposed to tell them why I'm leaving? And then say like,
mm,
oh, you know, your son, your brother, your friend, blah, 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 like he's been emotionally abusing me in this and this way for this and this long, da da da, all these things have happened. Bye. Um,
yeah.
it's like in retrospect, like there could have been some, you know, maybe some way to do that in, I don't know, but at the time, for my own mental health, for my own sanity, just for my heart, I was like, I I can't. Like I have to kind of just like cut ties. It was heartbreaking. Like, you know, his mother was really lovely. His sister and I got on very well in particular. And like they still pop up in my dreams sometimes. And
Mm-hmm.
I had to make a decision that it was better for them to just resent me for being this horrible person that broke such and such person's heart. And I don't even know what he would have said about me, but it's like, it just felt, oddly, it felt more humane. I'm sure there's probably part of me that still struggles with it, but it was also like, with all the struggles that I had in that relationship, explaining that people like me exist, that like, as a Black woman, my experiences are different, and you need to understand and empathize to some degree, at least be open-minded enough to hear me out rather than belittle me constantly, you know, throw all these racial microaggressions at me or at family members of mine, just over and over and over again. It was just having to deal with him in that context, but then having to try to package it all up neatly and explain it to his family just seemed like an impossible task.
Yeah, that would be hard. I will say, like my closest friends here in Australia they're white women, but one's from America, the other is from New Zealand, or a couple, two of them are from New Zealand. And so the conversation, when we have conversations on race, it's a little bit different because for whatever reason, I don't know what it is about people from New Zealand, but they seem to have a better understanding of the situation than a lot of Aussies I know. They just kind of are like, oh, whatever, it is what it is. Like, and,
yeah, it's like, okay.
Yeah, and most of the ones that I hang out with, they're very switched on, and they're very in tune to the issues, and they don't make light of them. But then there's a certain demographic in society, and I dare say that it's the less educated that are, like, what does it matter that this might bother you? Who cares? It's like, okay.
And it's wild how much that can impact the whole dating thing. I mean, of course, like, I'm married, but I still date people because I'm polyamorous. And on apps like OkCupid, for example, where you can read through the questions that people have answered, the first thing I do every time is look at the answers that we disagreed on. And there are a few questions that pop up that for me are like immediate swipe left, reject this person. I am not going to date this person. And those there's a question, it's like, is it okay to silently support racial equality? And one of the available answers is like, yes, it's your choice, blah, blah, blah. As opposed to like, no, you need to speak up or something like that. And when someone answers like, yeah, it's your choice, that for me is like, I'm not comfortable with this situation, because this is going to be a lot of educating this person about stuff potentially, or having my experiences watered down if we were to ever get serious in any way. Some other questions I look out for are like questions about banning Muslims. There's a question that's something like, would the country be safer if we banned Muslims?
Yeah.
And I do every now and then see people have answered yes to that question, and I'm like, no, swipe left. Like, you're a disgusting human being. Questions about like stricter immigration policies. So the question is, should Australia have a stricter immigration policy?
Yeah.
And if the answer is like a straight up yes with no additional details, that gives me pause.
Yeah.
If someone answers something like yes, but add some details relating to something a bit more egalitarian than like, I'm anti-immigration, that might be a little different, but I really prefer just like a no to that question.
That makes
Questions
me laugh
about
that it's a country of immigrants.
Yeah.
Right?
I'm like,
And I'm like,
it's like,
I mean, you know what? I'm such a supporter of First Nations people just like taking over and kicking everybody out. I'm like,
that's
I will
another
help
question on OkCupid,
and
right?
then I will leave. I will help and I will leave. Like if they say, "Yep, you got to go too," I'll be like, "It's your country. I'm out." I will help you. I will help you take it back, and then I will leave. Yeah.
Well, there's another
But
question on
like, I just
OkCupid
that's
that's
silly.
like, should the date of Australia Day be changed?
Mhm.
And anyone who answers no to that, I'm like,
Yeah.
it's like, not only do I support, well, I mean, I prefer just abolishing it altogether, but it's like, the fact that they can just say like, no, to me is like, I'm not
Yeah.
going to get along with this person.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's those sort of hard conversations that make dating, well, especially as an immigrant, because I mean that is what I am. I am an immigrant,
Mm,
and not having the tie to the history and the culture that someone who is either culturally of the land or who was born here of generations. It's just it's hard to have those sort of talks with them. And being a humanist, someone who is all about loving and looking after the human race, regardless
mm,
of where they come from or who they are,
yeah.
it's difficult to connect with people who don't share that same ideology of we're all here, we all need to look after each other regardless of what our beliefs are or where we've come from or how educated we are, whatever. We still, like, we're all human and we need to help each other. And if
Yeah.
that's truly what I want in a partner. I want someone who believes that and
Yeah.
who agrees with that. And I haven't been able to find that person here. I feel
Mm,
like I'm less likely to find that person here because that's just not the sentiment amongst this culture.
mm.
So I don't
Yeah, I
know. Maybe
mean,
it's not the sentiment among any culture, and I'm just going to be single for the rest of my life. I have no idea.
yeah, I mean, there are definitely people here who do feel the way you do, but you're right, it can be really challenging to find someone who kind of fits that criteria, but then also the other things that amount to feeling a spark with that person, you know?
Yeah.
It's not like, oh, this person's a humanist, they're wonderful, they're great, I'm gonna date them now. It's like, well, hang on. Like there are other factors that need to be in place here.
Exactly.
Yeah. And I
Yeah.
find that so much, like when I'm dating someone or interested in dating someone, like there are a lot of uh, I wouldn't say a lot of boxes to tick, so to speak,
Hmm.
but it can be really challenging for me to feel like that full-on connection with someone in a polyamorous sort of sense. Because yeah, so another thing that happens on these apps is that like I have it clearly indicated on my profile that I am married, I'm non-monogamous, I'm not here for hookups, I'm not here for one night stands. It's just not really my thing, you know?
Yeah.
And I prefer to date people who are already knowledgeable enough about polyamory that I'm not an experiment for them, because that
Yes.
has happened so often. But like
Mm-hmm.
I'll still get messages from guys who are monogamous,
Mm-hmm.
first of all. That's like, I don't want to date someone monogamous. I
Yeah.
don't want to date you if you're monogamous. Like I know that a relationship between a non-monogamous person and a monogamous person can work, but I don't want to do that. I only want to date people who are officially non-monogamous.
Yeah.
um so yeah, I get messages from them, I get messages from guys who are like ultra conservative, this and that, and I'm thinking like, what on my profile led you to believe that I would want to communicate with you? Or I'll get
Oh God.
messages from profiles that are like semi-anonymous. It'll be like the picture of the guy from here to like right above the jump, right? And it's like,
Right. Yeah.
but we need to be discreet though, because my girlfriend doesn't know I'm on this app. And I'm like, I'm not interested in helping you cheat on your partner.
Yeah.
Or
yeah, exactly.
the ones who are clearly just after the try a black girl experience.
Yep.
Like they'll
Oh,
come
I've
out
had
and
that.
say it. And like,
Yeah.
ooh, you're so exotic. Like, blah, 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 blah. It's like,
Mhm.
or
Yeah,
like,
that's
you
a
know, I love
huge
your
red
beautiful
flag.
brown skin. I'd love to taste your beautiful brown skin. It's like, I don't like, get away from my beautiful brown everything.
Yeah,
Like,
exactly. I'm not an object for you to fawn over. Oh, yeah.
exactly.
That's a recent flag. That is a red flag for me. Was as soon as anyone utters anything like that, I'm like, I'm out. See ya. We're done. I'm not gonna do this anymore. Bye.
I don't mind receiving compliments based on being a black woman
Mm.
in
Unless they tell
certain
you you have
contexts.
yeah.
Oh God, yeah. Like, oh, you've got Kylie Jenner lips. It's like, you know what? You're about to get a Kylie Jenner punch to the face. Whatever that
Mm.
means. Let's find
Mm.
out.
Yeah.
Like, what?
That's a hot mess. That is such a
Yeah.
hot mess.
But it's like if someone is approaching me specifically in a dating scenario, and that's the only thing they're bringing up as a way of
Mm-hmm.
introduction, it's like, what is this? Where is this coming from? There's so
Yeah.
much information on my profile that you could like point to start a conversation with. Is this really all you're seeing?
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
Especially if they're like these monogamous guys who are, you know, looking for a soulmate. Like on their profile, they'll talk about looking for a soulmate, looking for the one, this and that. And it's like, well, I'm clearly not going to be the one in
Yeah.
this picture that you've kind of created on your profile. Like I'm married. I'm not going to leave my husband. Like that's never going to happen, you know? And
Yeah.
so it's like, are you just after an experience with me? Like I'm not interested in that.
Yeah.
It's creepy. But let me ask you this. What is the most racist thing you've ever experienced on a date with a man in
Oh
Australia?
God. Okay. Okay. So I was on a holiday visiting a friend of mine over in Western Australia, and we had gone up to Broome,
Hmm.
and we, it's a holiday, and I, was working a lot, and I wanted to just sort of chill out for a night. I
Hmm.
think we'd gone like camel riding, we'd hung out at the beach, we'd done some stuff the day, and so I just wanted to have a night in and just relax. But she wanted to go and drink at the bar, and I was like, look, you go down, have a drink, you might meet some people, have fun. I'm just gonna stay up here and I'm gonna chill out. So so we do that, and she's messaging me, and she's like, Asabi, I've met these two guys at the bar, and one of them wants to meet you. And I'm like, ugh, I don't want to meet anybody at the bar. So I said no, but she keeps hounding. So I say, all right. So, I think I was in my bathing suit or something. So I threw on a wrap and I went down, because we're on holidays. So you can dress like that. So I went
Hmm.
down and I met them, and clearly just, I was like, not impressed. I was like, no, I don't think so. And so I had one drink, and then I was like, all right, I'm going to go back to the room. It was lovely to meet you guys. See you later. And she's like, no, 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 stay with us, drink, let's have some fun. And we have partied. So she knows that, I can tie one back, I can have a good
Hmm.
party. But I was like, I don't want to party tonight. I just want to hang out and maybe get to bed early, and then go out and we can play tomorrow. So she ends up bringing them back to our hotel room. And I
Hmm.
was like, oh, all right, why? And then I think she went out on the balcony with one of them. And the other one was hanging out inside. And I was like, okay, I guess I have to entertain this person, So I'm trying to talk to him, and he's like, where's your bathroom? So I showed him where the bathroom was. So he comes out of the bathroom, pants off, bottom down, penis out, And he said, I want you to suck my big white cock like a slave or some shit like that. And I'm like, wow. No, 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 no.
Wait, so did you do it?
Fuck no.
Oh my god.
I was like, I didn't even know. I was just like, wow. Wow. I can't even. And so I went out onto the balcony and I was like, they have got to go.
One thing that I find so disturbing, and one thing that's particularly relevant for Black women, African American women specifically in a place like Australia, is like we're over sexualized already. We're overly objectified already. Historically, we've been. It used to be completely legal to rape a Black woman because it was believed that they couldn't be raped because
we
they
enjoyed
existed
it
for sex.
Yeah.
It's like, no. And even when that finally became illegal, it's still like there's this idea that if you're a Black woman, you've got to be like wild in bed. All this coded language, like wild. You've got to be. There's this like animalistic kind of nature that people apply to us, and it's not okay. And for me, I feel it even deeper almost being a polyamorous Black woman because of this misguided belief that polyamory is just about sex, and it means that I'm just going to sleep with anyone because I just really like having sex, and that's absolutely not the case. It's
that's
just
a whole
not.
Thing.
Yeah, it's completely different.
Thing. Yeah.
So I find it so strange that any guy can feel like it's totally normal to just send me a message and like straight out the gate ask me ridiculous questions like, are you into race play? It's like, no.
What?
I'm not. Like, I get that. Basically, it is what you think it is.
Oh my god! Like, no.
Fantasizing about these, yeah, I don't want to kink shame anyone, but it's like,
I'm not gonna do that.
But for that to be the first question someone asks before even introducing themselves properly or asking me about something on my profile, it's like, this is all you see in me right now. No.
Yeah. I mean, I don't kink shame either because I've been to fetish balls. I know I've seen different things that people are into, and I don't shame that at all. But I feel that when it comes to sex and sexual play, you have to be willing to be open about it. You can't treat it like, oh my god, this is crazy taboo. Blah, blah, blah. You have to be genuine about it, and I'm like, that's fine if you're into that sort of thing, cool, but don't just assume that I'm going to be into it. You need to ask me, talk to me about it first. Let's get to know each other, and instead of just assuming, say, ask the question, what are you into? What do do you like to play dress up? What kind of dress up do you like to play? Do you like role playing? Let's explore that. What do you like? And that, that's a whole different conversation. And then if it goes to like race play, and if that is something that they're into, then you can explore that. But don't just automatically assume that, that sounds horrible. I would never, me personally, I would never want to, that's triggering. But for some people, that might be a turn on for them.
Yeah. And it's like, that's all well and good and stuff, but that's...
oh gosh.
It's the fact that it was a message from a complete stranger.
Yeah.
I was like, it's not even that I'm not into what you're asking for, but I now think that you as a person have some issues that you need to resolve because of the way you've approached this conversation. I think that's one reason I don't really go out on that many dates these days. Well, I mean, I go through periods where I'll, go out with like a couple guys a week sometimes. Well, not so much during like COVID, especially since the borders opened up and like numbers and stuff have increased. But it's just exhausting. It's exhausting. And that's not to say that every guy I've dated has been racist in some way. And like, no, absolutely not. But
these are isolated incidents.
Yeah.
No, I agree. Like, I've dated some fun people, and I like to say I've played with some fun people. I've had and I've played dress up. I've done that. I've done the whole like schoolgirl and bad schoolgirl and teacher sort of thing. So I enjoy a good role play. I do enjoy that, and I've found that the few people I've been with that communicate that well have been non-Australians, unfortunately. But I know that there are lots of American women here who have fallen in love with and who've married Australian men. You married an Australian.
A very white Australian.
Yes.
I mean, just like physically. I don't mean
yeah. He's physically very pale. Yes. He seems lovely. I think I've only met him once. I think I met him at your birthday a few years ago.
Okay.
And
he's great.
He's a lovely guy. But for me personally, it hasn't been my experience. I have not met an Aussie guy, and maybe it's me. Maybe I'm the problem. I don't think I'm a problem, but you never know. Like, maybe I'm too overbearing or too smart.
You did say that
maybe I'm
that a lot of guys that you've dated here have been too timid.
Yes. And maybe I scared them. I know I was at a pub one night, and this guy was really chatting me up. He was very interested, and and he was like, "Oh, I'd love to take you out." And then he asked me what I did for a living, like why I was here in Australia. And I didn't think anything of it. And I was like, I'm an engineer. And that was just a complete turnoff for him. Like, he literally looked at me and he said, how do I deal with that? And then he just walked away. And that was, I was like, I've never had such a strong rejection ever in my life. Like, I mean, he was so into me, like really chatting and then as soon as he found out what I did for a living, like, it was game over. And
that's so weird.
Shocking and strange. I don't know what it is. I don't know I don't get asked out a lot. And I don't think I'm ugly.
No, not at all.
I never, and not that has anything to do with it. I like to think I have a good personality and that I'm kind, and I'm nice to people.
Yeah, you're all right.
Yeah, right? I don't know. I'm all right. I never get asked out. You hear these stories about women going out and guys asking them out. That's probably happened to me. I could probably count on one hand the number of times that's happened to me where someone has approached me. That situation that I just told you being one of them. And most of the dating I've done has been through dating apps. And I don't like dating apps. I don't like having to spend long periods of time chatting. I'm that person where I'm like, if we've matched, I just send them a message and I'd say, hey, let's go meet up for a drink. And that freaks them out as well. And I don't know, like, isn't that the point of this? I don't want to, go days back and forth having chats with you. I hate that. I hate chatting. I don't like texting. I really don't like to talk on the phone, and I've always
hate talking on the phone.
Yeah, I like to meet people in person. So COVID was difficult for me because the only way you could connect with people was to chat over the Zoom or Skype or whatever, and I found that really difficult. It was really difficult for me. I like to be around people. I like to be in the physical presence, and I like to talk to people, look them in the face, touch them, laugh out loud. That's me. I'm tactile. I'm that person. And so dating apps just don't work for me because, and I don't know if it's the same in America because I never use them in America. I've been here almost 15 years, so I've just like it's crazy. I can't deal. I can't deal with dating apps.
Yeah.
And I'm not on, and I met my last partner on a dating app, and the only reason I was on the app was because a friend of mine wanted to set up a profile, and she was like, you should set one up too. So we did it together, and a lot of, and I thought, okay, well, maybe I'll give it a go. I'll try this out. And again, like a lot, like either guys, like one guy actually said to me that he thought I was a catfish because he just said that I just didn't seem real. And I was like, huh? That doesn't make sense to me. And, and so I felt like guys were just baiting me. Like I would say, let's meet up for a drink. And they would try to delay it. Or, they would say, oh, like in the last minute, like I might actually be at the restaurant or at the bar, or whatever. And I'd get this like a last minute message. Maybe they came in and they saw me and they were like, nah, I don't want to meet up with her. You know what I mean? Like, so who knows? Maybe I'm just not appealing to men in Australia. I didn't have this problem in Europe with Tinder at all. Did not have this problem at all. I spent 3 weeks in Europe, and I was traveling through Paris and Germany and Belgium, and I would like match with people, and they'd want to meet up, and we'd meet up, and it was that simple, and I was like, okay, well, this might be cool, but in Australia, it just wasn't the same. It was really difficult. It was like pulling teeth. People would cancel all the time, and so after breaking up with my last partner, I just kind of went, I don't want to go through all that shit again. Like, fuck it. If I would just rather meet somebody organically. And that, then of course COVID happened, like literally 3 months after I break up with my partner, COVID hit. So yes, so I've been single this whole time. I haven't dated this whole time. And yeah. And who knows? And then like now, the only time I ever really get to go out is when I'm performing. So maybe I'm intimidating to people. Like maybe they see me, or it could be that most people come to Australia to be with a partner or partnered, and so they could make the assumption that I'm already with someone, and so that's why I'm asking. There's all kinds of reasons, but I mean, I'm just gonna be happily single and live my life until I meet someone that makes me not want to be single anymore.
Yeah, you're pretty good as a soloist.
Yeah, I do.
You're always
I do
living your best life and stuff.
Yeah, well, why wouldn't I? Like, what else are you gonna do? I'm just like, I'm not like, I can't just sit around and do nothing. Like, that's not gonna help. That's not gonna help me find someone if I'm looking for someone. Yeah. Maybe that's what I should do, is just sit at home all the time, and then the postman will ring and the man of my dreams. Come here, Mr. Postman. He's like, I'm married with 3 kids. Get away from me. Well, and that's the other thing. Most people my age are married with children or divorced with children. And I've never really wanted children. I've dated people with children. And I've come to the conclusion that I don't want to date people with children.
So that really narrows your dating pool a lot.
Yeah, there's like maybe one person in Australia and it's a woman. No, I don't know. There are more women my age without children, I feel, or I've met more women my age without children than men.
If someone were to like come up to you when you're out and about and like ask you out on a date, like what would that approach have to look like for you to say yes?
Oh, it's happened. Only once in Australia. And he was an Olympian. So, nice. Right? I guess it would have to be someone who has a lot of self-esteem, moxie, I guess. Like I did ask a friend once, a guy friend, basically what's wrong with me. And he said, you're intimidating. I'm like, really? And this was a friend, and he was like, I'm just going to be honest with you. Like, you're beautiful, you're smart, you're funny, you're outgoing. It's kind of intimidating. And I was like, Oh, okay. Well, I'm not gonna stop being that. But I
Yeah.
mean, I don't know. Like, just be kind, be nice. Like, have a nice smile. Like, have some good banter. The last guy that asked me out, this was probably back in 2019, and I was doing a gig, and he was a young guy. Like he was probably like in his mid 20s maybe. We'd played this gig at the zoo, maybe, I don't know, some venue in the valley. Afterwards, I was helping the band just put their equipment away, and I just thought he was doing the same, but apparently he was kind of just rolling along with me. And so after we'd finished loading up the van, I was like, it was like he'd been chatting with me this whole time. And so I was like, all right, well, I've got to go home. Have a good night. It was lovely. And he was like, no, 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 wait. I just looked at him and I was like, yes. And he's like, I would kick myself if I didn't ask, but are you single? Do you want to hang out? And I had to say no because I wasn't single. But if I had been, I would have said yes because it doesn't happen often. And I know, it's hard. I know it is really difficult to, have the courage to ask a random stranger out that you just met somewhere. And he seemed really lovely. He seemed nice. Like we were laughing as we were loading stuff and just kind of having a good time. So I would have said yes. I probably would have made out with him. I don't think I would have slept with him. I think my days of doing that sort of thing are over. Just because I don't want to. Like if you're a dickhead and you're like, hey, come here, let's go out. Like I'm like, no.
I've had someone do that to me once. This was like, oh gosh, this was in the UK or something. He's like, yeah, tonight we're gonna go out together tonight. I was like, are we? This is news to me. It's like,
Yeah.
I don't want to go out with you. But anyway.
Did you know his name?
No.
Yeah.
No, I didn't.
Exactly.
Like, okay, Mr. Serial Killer.
Right? What
Yeah.
kind of patriarchal caveman bullshit is that? You don't just walk up to a woman and say, going out. For me right now, dating Aussies bad.
So that's your definitive conclusion.
That's my take. That's it. That's my
For me, my dating pool just feels so limited right now. It's like there are some characteristics in a dude that I get really excited about, right? I love creativity. I love wit, humor, tenacity, like someone who's confident.
Yes.
And like I can't be the person to constantly try to like boost someone's self-esteem. It's like, if you want me to be that person, you have to pay me, and we have to like make it an official coaching relationship.
Yes.
But it's like, in terms of dating, it's like, no, like we have to be able to hang without it feeling like I'm doing a job, so to speak. Yeah. And so like, there has to be that. There have to be shared values. There have to be, but not just shared values. We need to have shared interests as well. If we don't have like a lot in common, I'm not going to stay interested, even if he's a really lovely person and we have the same values. It's just too much work for me emotionally.
Well, I think even if you don't have the same interests, be willing to play within that other person's interests and share your interests.
Yeah, if they're interesting enough that we can like, I mean, I love learning new things. And so someone who has these interesting things that they're into, like I'm all for that. But if it's something that like, if there's just nothing there, if he's not like a passionate guy, then like passionate about something, it's going to be really hard for me to stay interested. But it's also like, they have to be non-monogamous, and then there has to be that spark. And so like when you get into that whole funnel, it's just a very limited dating pool. And there are plenty of guys who I'd love to be very close friends with, but like being a nice guy, being someone who's awesome to hang around, being someone who's an awesome friend and all that, like that's not an automatic key to a romantic relationship. It's like, if
Yes.
it's going to happen, it's going to happen in a way that I can't feel like I've been pushed into it
Right. Yeah.
or like guilted into it almost. Like, no, thank you. And I do sometimes find that being an African American woman who's very confident and very outspoken about things, and like I do challenge people sometimes, not for the purpose of challenging them, but it's like, look, if you're saying something that's a bit weird and there's something you need to be made more socially aware of, I'm not just going to sit back and go, oh, he just doesn't get it. It's okay. It's like he's going to have to understand, like, I don't want to be called exotic all the time. I don't want to be part of some Kip and LaFonda fantasy.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
I don't want to be fetishized.
Yes. You just want to be treated like a human. And I think
and it's like,
that's the
having an
problem,
interest in my culture is great. Having an interest in my history is great. Having an interest in like the Black Lives Matter movement and things like that, like those things are great because these things are like a big part of me. But when it's like, when they're just in awe of your Blackness, and it's like, oh my gosh, I'm dating this exotic Black woman and she's so amazing and I don't know how to talk to her.
Yeah.
It's
like
just,
a human. That's how you talk.
Yeah, exactly.
Talk like just have a conversation. Okay.
I don't want like to date someone who's expecting me to be Beyonce or this like super cool person who's gonna like completely open up their life to the ways of the Black person.
Like give them the Black experience. Yeah.
Yeah, it's like
that's not me. That's definitely not me.
It's like I don't want to be someone's educator in that department. Like talking about Black history and all those things, like that like, yeah, but I'm not gonna fill in some gap in this fantasy life that you've applied to me.
Yes.
I'm not that great at dancing. I mean, I can dance not fantastically. So it's like, I don't want to be upheld as this like super cool person. Oh yeah, well, you can sing, sure.
Yeah, right? I hate
because it's like the truth is I'm not. Yeah, exactly. Like you're just disappointing white people all the time.
Because I'm not living up to their idea of what a Black person should be.
Yeah, especially in a dating capacity.
Decide, like, right? Like, because a lot of that is all based on stereotypes anyway, you know? Like,
yeah.
No, I didn't grow up going to like some amazing Black church singing gospel music. No, that wasn't like that. You know, a lot of people believe that because I'm a singer.
Yeah.
I grew up singing fucking classical music. I used to sing opera, man. That's who I am.
Yeah, and I feel the same way. It's like, if we're gonna really get like down and into conversations about like I want to talk about things like social justice. I want to talk about, you know, maybe language, because, you know, of course my post-grad work was in applied linguistics. And like these are the things that I want to talk about, and any shared interests or just all sorts of different things. It's not going to be like, oh, this person's just naming a bunch of like Black musicians and like pummeling me with their knowledge of Black popular culture, like waiting for me to like pick a point of interest that we can like, it's like
I had a date like that. I had a date like that. Yep. And that's exactly what he did. And then when I was like, I have no idea who you're talking about, he was like, you're a Black woman and you don't know. And I was like, oh, okay. I'm going to stop you right there. Stop you right there. Like, nah, mate. You do not get to dictate to me what kind of Black woman I am.
It's such a shame too that like, it's like you don't want to feel like you have to educate someone you're dating about racial stereotypes and stuff. And it's like, you know, I can say things like, you know, not all Black people know each other, but then you go to my Facebook page,
so random,
and my cover photo is my dad with Michelle Obama. And I'm like, no, what have I done? It's like
Yeah.
I'm like feeding into this all Black people know each other stereotype. But it's like,
I
you
actually,
just want to live without having to be an
dating.
educator all the time.
Like, I'm happy to converse about it. If you want to talk about it, I'm happy to talk about it. I can only, like, I'm not an expert, so I can only go so far. And if I say, like, I will tell people there are great books on this that you could go and read. Like, go read a book, because I'm not the expert. I'm not the expert. And I can only speak to my own personal experience. I can't speak to the experience of an entire group of people. Like, that's, like, no one has elected me to speak for them, and I dare say there'll be people who don't want me to speak for them because like, they might think that I'm too white, whatever. And that's a whole nother story. A whole different can of fish there. But so, I tell people, go read something, or talk to other Black people. Don't just talk to me. I'm only one person that has had one lived experience, and that's it. So I can't speak for other people, and I know other people have had worse experiences than me. I feel that I've been pretty privileged. I've had a great life, a great upbringing, great opportunities. I've been able to travel around the world. I've done things. I had a great high profile job. I've done a lot of great stuff. But there are a lot of people out there that have, their lives have been impacted by some negative things in the world, and they haven't had the same experience. There's no way I could speak for them unless I'm advocating. But I can't tell you what that experience is like. I can't tell you what being on the planet is. It's just like you have these people out there who are like, the world sucks, it's terrible, it's blah, blah. For me personally, I think the world is great. I'm having a pretty good freaking time. I'm living my best life. I know how terrible it can be. So everybody has different experiences. You can't expect one person to represent an entire group of people.
Exactly. We are not a monolith.
Yeah. And how boring would that be? If you you meet one person and then it's like, so I've met them all.
Yeah.
No, that's not
like, I dated a Black woman. Tick.
So now I know how they all are.
It's like, so I can tell you about this and that and the other thing. It's like, no, you can't.
You can't. Or when people correct you about your own culture because your experience is not what they think it should be. Like, oh no, you're wrong about that. I'm like,
I've had that happen on dates.
Yes.
It's like, oh, sorry, did you ask me out so you can racially gaslight me? Because that's not what I signed up for.
Right. I'm like, tell me about it. Tell me about my culture. Talk to me about that.
Yeah.
Tell me.
Yeah.
Oh, well, I didn't mean, right. Okay.
Yeah.
So, yeah. Anyway, dating. Yay, fun. I'll do it again. I will, it'll happen again when I'm ready. Something when, the right, perfect, well, not perfect. Perfect for me. Because what is perfection, right? But whatever I deem perfect for me comes along. Yeah. It'll happen.
It's funny. I feel like we've just scratched the surface on this whole dating as an African American woman conversation. Partly because I'm sure if we asked this question to other African American women who have dated people in Australia, there would be a wide variety of experiences. And I'm sure we both have a lot of wild experiences yet to come.
Yes.
So we might have to do a part 2 at some stage. Who knows?
I will say this, of all the African American women that I know in Australia, and I know a few, there's only 5, maybe 5 or 6 that I know. But I'm the only one who is single that I know.
Right.
I know single African women, but I mean, they were either came over here at a very young age or they were born here.
And thank you again for differentiating between the experience of an African American woman and an African woman in Australia, because there's this twisted notion in a lot of people's minds that like we're all one culture, and they'll use the term African American to describe Africans with no connection to the US, and it's like it's completely different experiences, completely different
you've
cultures.
been experiencing the whole casting issues with acting, because that's like they put out a casting call looking for African Americans, and there's like you show up and there's 3 African Americans, and then everybody from all over Africa is there, and it's like, so what exactly are you looking for?
Yeah, I think our next video should be about like hair.
Yes. I might even take mine out and show you. Like, I love my hair; it's so great. But
oh yeah, I'll have some grand reveals that day as well. Thank you so much again for
come over. Yeah, and we'll do a hair day.
All right, so that was my AirPods finally dying. So I'm gonna start again and say thank you so much for joining me for this conversation.
Yeah. Anytime.
Yeah, I look forward to many, many more. Yeah, and I'll let you know if I have any interesting, like, dating experiences that have some connection to race-related things.
Yeah.
I'm so glad we finally, like, got together and did this again. I don't know why it took this long, but we'll do another really soon. Cool.
Yes. All right.
Have an excellent weekend. I will finish off my weekend still in COVID isolation.
Awesome.
And I'll talk to you again soon.
Thank you. All right. Bye.
Thank you for watching, and if you found this video helpful, make sure to give it a big thumbs up and share it with someone else who can benefit from it. Subscribe to my channel and hit the notifications bell so you know exactly when I've uploaded a new video. You can also book a free life coaching session with me through my website, leslievcoaching.com, and we can work together online or right here in my studio. Follow me on my socials to keep up with what I'm doing, and please get in touch with any questions, comments, or video ideas you may have. I'm Leslie V, and I'll see you in the next video.